There comes a moment in every man's life when everything gets stripped away. The friends disappear, the money runs out, the support vanishes, and you're left standing in the ruins of what used to be your life. Most people call that rock bottom. But what if I told you it's actually the beginning of your greatest transformation? When a man has nothing left, something powerful happens. Not because life is cruel, but because he's being called higher. When the friends who promised loyalty disappear, when the career you built crumbles, when the people you trusted turn silent, that's when you finally discover what you're truly made of. Many people talk about strength when things are going well, but you don't really discover who you are until you're all you have left. Because as long as you have options, you'll keep leaning on them. As long as you have backup plans, you'll keep trusting in yourself. But when every door closes and the noise fades away, you're left standing face to face with the truth. If your foundation is all you have, then your foundation is all you need. And in that sacred silence, when you have no one else to call, no one else to impress, no strength left to fake it, that's when something shifts. That's when isolation turns into transformation's classroom. Faith is born in loneliness. True strength isn't built on comfort, it's born in struggle. Look at the story of Job. In a single breath, he lost his fortune, his children, and his health. The people who once celebrated him turned their backs. But even sitting in ashes, Job declared, "What I've been given and what's been taken away, I'm still standing." When Job had nothing left, he discovered strength that could not be shaken. Consider David before he became king. He hid in caves. No army, no palace, no loyal friends. And yet in those lonely nights he wrote, "Though everyone forsakes me, I will endure." Isolation was not his punishment. It was his training ground. Dependence unlocks power. As long as we have people to lean on, we fool ourselves into thinking we're self-sufficient. But when there's no one left to lean on, that's when we learn real strength. Moses learned this in the wilderness. He had no strategy, no strength, and no answers. Yet provision came from unexpected places. The message was clear. Survival doesn't come from human effort alone. When a man has nothing but his foundation, he sees miracles he never saw before. Sometimes life lets you lose everything, not to break you, but to show you that you've always had enough within you. Loneliness becomes clarity. When you have nothing external to rely on, loneliness transforms. It's no longer the place where you feel abandoned. It becomes the place where you feel most connected to your true self. Even the greatest leaders understood this. Before every major decision, they withdrew to lonely places to think and reflect. Those quiet moments weren't wasted. They were sacred. David's most beautiful writings weren't created in victory, but in hiding, in caves, in tears. That's why your loneliness isn't empty. It's where your purpose becomes clear. It's where your heart finally has room to understand what truly matters. Trials forge unbreakable strength. When a man has nothing left, the fire no longer burns him. It purifies him. Joseph knew this well. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, forgotten in prison. Yet he later declared, "You intended to harm me, but life intended it for good." His isolation was not wasted. It was preparation. Every prison cell in Joseph's story was a stepping stone to leadership. Ancient wisdom reminds us, consider it growth whenever you face trials, because the testing of your character produces perseverance. Life doesn't waste pain. When you have no one left to carry you, you learn how to stand on your own. Your foundation is more than enough. When a man finally loses everything, he discovers that his foundation isn't just all he has. It's all he'll ever need. Paul understood this. Chained in prison, forgotten by most, he still wrote, "I consider everything a loss compared to the value of knowing my true purpose." Everything else fades, but what's within remains. And once you realize that, you stop grieving what you've lost because you've already gained everything that matters. What happens when the noise stops? When the people fade, the applause ends, the support disappears, and it's just you and your truth. Most people call that rock bottom, but I call it rebirth. That's where life begins to rebuild what the world tried to break. That's where strength stops being theory and becomes reality. The same force that met Job in ashes, that hid David in caves, that walked with Joseph through prison, that same force exists within you right now. If your life feels empty, if everything has fallen apart, don't mistake this season as punishment. It's an invitation to discover yourself more deeply than you ever have before. Life's not finished with you. It's removing the props so your foundation will stand on truth alone. It's tearing down the temporary to rebuild something eternal. Don't run from the silence. Embrace it. Because the silence is where clarity speaks. The stillness is where healing happens. And the loneliness, that's where you become whole. You may have lost people, plans, and things you thought you couldn't live without. But if you still have yourself, you still have everything. If you believe that, if you understand that losing everything externally means discovering everything internally, drop a comment right now that says, "I am enough." Hit that subscribe button, because we drop content every week for men who refuse to stay down and are ready to rebuild themselves from the ground up. Share this video with a brother going through it. Someone who needs to know that rock bottom is actually solid ground to build on. Click the video on your screen about rising from failure. It's the perfect next step in your journey from broken to unbreakable. Remember, when everything becomes nothing, you finally become who you were always meant to be. Your foundation is enough. You are enough. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay strong, stay focused, and remember, you're not broken. You're breaking through.